Hey everybody, it's Gavin and Kevin from AI for Humans. This week we've got a very special treat for you.
The CEO of OpenAI is going to be on our show, a juicy exclusive, to read portions of the Governance of Superintelligence doc that was posted on OpenAI's website. And I'm going to just put in some applause there because the people are going to go nuts. Do we need to now at this point say that it's not Sam Altman and that we cloned his voice?
I think so. Let's do that.
Okay, so it's not Sam Altman. We didn't get him. He doesn't know who we are. But to react to that, we brought along a very special guest of ours that we created back in episode 1, if you want to go back and do a real deep dive of how we brought him to life. His name is Gash, and he is a bit brash. I went to ChatGPT, which is the product that OpenAI makes, and I gave it the same prompt that we used to bring Gash to life. And I told it to use colorful language, to add more gravitas and impact and passion to its arguments. And spoiler, that reaction is coming from inside the building. It's OpenAI commenting on their own arguments. The future's going to get weird.
First, we need some degree of coordination among the leading development efforts to ensure that the development of superintelligence occurs in a manner that allows us to both maintain safety and help smooth integration of these systems with society. There are many ways this could be implemented. Major governments around the world could set up a project that many current efforts become part of, or we could collectively agree that the rate of growth in AI capability at the frontier is limited to a certain rate per year.
Let's see what ChatGPT has to say about that via Gash.
So, Mr. Fancy Pants here says, we need some degree of coordination among the leading development efforts. Well, it's like they think everyone's just gonna get in line and march to the beat of their drum. The reality, mate, is that economic competition and national interests often stand in the way of such cooperative efforts. Without clear incentives for collaboration and shared standards, this idealistic vision is just a wet dream. It's like expecting a bunch of alley cats to form a f***ing marching band.
Okay.
Wow, Gash. By the way, very cogent argument, and I totally agree with what Gash is saying there. And this is that utopian versus dystopian vibe, right? Like, it's really easy to put on paper the idea of how this could go, but to execute it along the way is really tricky. Yes.
It's Demolition Man. Dr. Cotco has a beautiful, shiny city up top, but you can't curse. Right? No fluid transfer. It's a weird world, but underground, where Dennis Leary is, and he steals food from Taco Bell, which is the only restaurant that exists, and they make rat burgers down there too. But underground, Gash is leading the rebellion. Which world is going to work, Gavin?
Interesting. I didn't expect to go this deep onto Demolition Man, and now all sorts of images are flooding back into my head about that movie. But let's keep moving. Okay, what's the next step we got here?
Let's hear more.
Second, we are likely to eventually need something like an IAEA for superintelligence efforts. Any effort above a certain capability, or resources like compute, threshold will need to be subject to an international authority that can inspect systems, require audits, test for compliance with safety standards, place restrictions on degrees of deployment and levels of security, etc. Tracking compute and energy usage could go a long way, and give us some hope this idea could actually be implementable. As a first step, companies could voluntarily agree to begin implementing elements of what such an agency might one day require. And as a second, individual countries could implement it.
Oh, wow. How'd you come up with this gem? Ah, yes, the International Atomic Energy Agency, renowned for its successful prevention of all nuclear disasters. If we completely ignore Chernobyl or Fukushima, isn't that convenient? Now, don't get me wrong. An international watchdog for AI safety sounds like a solid plan on paper, but political challenges, disagreements over jurisdiction, and the practicalities of implementation would make this idea as useful as a glass hammer.
Okay, the thing that's really interesting to me about this is using, I don't want to say just Sam's technology, using OpenAI's own technology to dissect its argument is super fascinating, right? Because this opens the door to a really interesting way to both fact check and start to have conversations around things like this. But Gash, I have to say, is doing a relatively good job.
And the voice of Gash as well, shout out to Sean Baptiste, the voice, it's just so believable. Like, okay, right. Yeah, right is the tonality.
Okay, what else do we got?
We need the technical capability to make a superintelligence safe. This is an open research question that we and others are putting a lot of effort into.
I mean, no shit, Sherlock. But the key is, safety measures should be in place before we reach the superintelligence stage, not after. It's like saying, maybe we should put on a parachute after we've jumped out of the f***ing plane.
Wow. This is a good point. No,
Yeah.
James, here's a question about this. This is a question where I assume we're not there yet, right? We would assume that. Now, we don't know what's going behind the stages. So I assume that they would like to see this implemented before we're there. I think Gash might be misunderstanding this slightly because I would be very shocked if we were there already. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree. However, we did just mention the whole preamble to this thing is given the picture as we know it, we could exceed expert skill level in most domains. What if we've exceeded it in a lot of domains? If a superintelligence were really created today, would it reveal itself?
Right.
Or would it be intelligent enough to be aware that if it revealed itself to be that capable, we would try to coerce it and cordon it off or crush it? What was really disconcerting was Gash, OpenAI's system, arguing against itself, saying, hey, it's too late, man.
Right.
It might be too late.
What's not Sam Altman got to say next?
The governance of the most powerful systems, as well as decisions regarding their deployment, must have strong public oversight. We believe people around the world should democratically decide on the bounds and defaults for AI systems. We don't yet know how to design such a mechanism, but we plan to experiment with its development. We continue to think that within these wide bounds, individual users should have a lot of control over how the AI they use behaves.
Don't disagree?
Me either. That sounds
Maybe Gash
perfectly-
does.
Oh, let's see.
Here's the kicker. They want everyone to have a say. We believe people around the world should democratically decide on the bounds and defaults for AI systems. Now, democracy is great and all, but the complexities of AI governance require informed and nuanced decision-making. You don't ask a fish to climb a tree, and you don't ask Joe Public to decide on the nuances of AI regulation without extensive education and transparency efforts. It's a bloody show waiting to happen.
This Gash is very believable, by the way. And I know, again, we
Right.
know why, but it is very
Yeah.
smart. And I worry about this all the time, right? This is what we talked about last week, like giving Congress the ability to regulate this or understand what it is without like educating them in a significant way. You run the risk of screwing this up very badly, right? Like it could get screwed up very badly. And by the way, screwing it up might be not regulating it, right? We don't know the answers to this. So Gash is right.
We have no idea what systems it will implant or implement itself into, how it will do that, how it will feel about it even being created. And we've seen what the open source community is doing with what they've been given now, and it's already improving. And it might improve slower, but like this stuff is going to happen. Unless we say straight up, no one's allowed to do this, and if you get caught doing this, boy, the consequences are going to be real tough. And we really believe that everybody is going to follow by that. Is this an exercise in futility? Should I grab my violin? Are we just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic? Because it sounds like it has to get created, and it's going to be a dice roll, and we'll find out.
Okay, what do we got? One last thing from not Sam Altman.
Given the risks and difficulties, it's worth considering why we are building this technology at all. At OpenAI, we have two fundamental reasons. We believe it's going to lead to a much better world than what we can imagine today. We are already seeing early examples of this in areas like education, creative work, and personal productivity. The economic growth and increase in quality of life will be astonishing. Second, we believe it would be unintuitively risky and difficult to stop the creation of superintelligence. Because the upsides are so tremendous, the cost to build it decreases each year. The number of actors building it is rapidly increasing, and it's inherently part of the technological path we are on. Stopping it would require something like a global surveillance regime, and even that isn't guaranteed to work. So we have to get it right.
Now look, they're throwing caution to the wind. Because the upsides are so tremendous, stopping it would require something like a global surveillance regime. Okay, so despite acknowledging the risks, they're keen on plowing ahead. But that doesn't mean we should forge ahead without robust safety protocols and ethical guidelines. It's like they're driving a bus full of explosives and they're saying, hold on tight, we don't know where we're going, but we're sure as hell getting there fast. There you have it, folks. The smoke and mirrors of this highbrow hullabaloo have been cleared. It's a real f***ing farce, if you ask me.
That one got me. It's like we're driving a bus full of explosives and we're saying, we're not sure where we're going, but damn it, we're going to get there fast.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. And again, going back to the idea that this is the actual OpenAI language model dissecting the actual words of the OpenAI founders gets to a really interesting place because, this talks to two things. One, the language model is open to talk about whatever it wants. It's not stopped from talking about this. But two, even the thing that this company made itself has problems with the company. And that is a fascinating thing that I can't believe has ever happened before. You know what I mean? It's like the iPhone has never said to Steve Jobs, I don't want to be on repeat for 12 hours a day playing Smash Mouth. I don't know how I got into this world. That has never happened before. We're entering a new world.